Cool.
There it is. Does that? There we go. All right, so give me a little bit out of you. Hello, everyone. We're doing a little bit of test before we officially go live.
I'm doing a little bit of something just for Bo. Just the two of us building castles in the sky. Just the two of us, you and I.
All right, if somebody in one of the chats can give me a thumbs up and let us know that you can hear us, that would be great.
Because that was a one-time deal. I ain't doing that again.
Yeah, please don't. All right. There are messages in the chat, just not the one I'm looking for. But there's a delay. Duncan, I'm impatient. That's one of my problems.
You are a very impatient person.
Yeah. Some people say I'm a little bit too much like my mother. She's never satisfied.
Yep. I would always say that you're a little bit country, Bo.
Would you say I'm perhaps a little bit rock and roll? Okay, so I'm a little low. Let's see.
Duncan's too loud. That's standard.
I can turn the gain up just a touch and see. Nope. Let's try that and see if we can push up a little bit there. Okay. How's that, folks? Is that a little bit better?
Is that a little bit more Bo?
Is that, yeah.
More Bo.
Little. You're going to want more Bo.
I gotta have more Bo.
All right. Yeah, I think that's better. We're going to leave it there for now, and then if it's not...
The bow is going to break! Sorry. Do you?
And this is pre-show, people.
It just gets into you.
All right. We are going to pause briefly and then come right back. So, morning. We will be right back.
Too young, too scared. I wasn't ready. I'm restless, longing inside my body, growing stronger. resistance like a tiger. Bounce back, move on. I am a fire. You are my light. My sweet.
You will thank me later on. It's kind of 50s doo-wop, but all satanic.
Satanic 50s doo-wop,
Yeah.
and it's called Twin Temple. Are they British? Are they American? What's going on?
I want to say they're American because it sounds like something that would only come from the mind of an American. I think they're just a two-piece. But yeah, it's like proper. If you imagine if Amy Winehouse was a Satanist, that's what it sounds like. It's really fucking good.
And with that, welcome to another episode of Duncan and
Every
Bo
time.
slash fiction,
Every
a tiny little
time.
division of Duncan and Bo come correct. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We have the technology to trick you into opening the show, Duncan.
Yes, every time. You know, next time I'm just going to be quiet. I know it's going to be a difficult thing to do, but I'll just be like,
You have no choice. What it is I give you the perfect setup to say the dumb shit you like to say anyway.
that perfect setup is high.
Right. I'm like, yes, I am the Bud Abbott to your Lou Costello in so many ways.
I see what you did there, and I will not dispute it.
All right. Well, hey, folks, thanks for joining us live, those of you who are with us. And thanks for listening to the show, those of you listening to the audio podcast. So
yes, we love you. We haven't forgotten about you. I know we're talking about all the people that are here live a lot, but you were our first love. We did dirty things to you.
I brushed right over it, and then you had to slam the brakes on it and make everybody feel awkward all of a sudden.
You're welcome. That is my gift.
It's the real turn the punch bowl. So, like I said, this Duncan Bo come correct. This season we are looking at this season we are looking at the series Slasher, and we've made our way to episode 3, which, as we were talking about just before the show, features the untimely death of easily the best character on the show so far, and it's a real bummer.
First he giveth, then he taketh away, Bo.
God, you sound like one of the show titles. Good Lord. Good Lord.
No, whoa. As pretentious as I could possibly get, even on my best day, it doesn't hold a candle to the pretentious shit that they have leveled at our door with the episode titles here. I can't believe this is only episode 3.
Yeah, and the title of this episode is Like as Fire Eateth Up and Burneth Wood. It sounds like Puritan, like devil poetry. Why are we making this so elaborate?
Also like a really, really posh biblical way for going for a shit after a curry.
Yeah. By the way, slightly off topic, had an amazing chicken masala recently.
Nice.
Yeah. And had a little bit of that sauce left over and used it on some of my other chicken. Was like, no, this is just fine. I'm a masala recycler. And I have no
what's a good curry when a couple of days afterwards you're telling people about it.
Yeah, it was really good. It was really good. It had just the right bite to it, but it was really rich and just amazing. Anyway, look, Curry Talk is our other show. We'll get into that another time.
Legion Podcast Curry Talk with Duncan and Bo.
There's only 4 listeners, but they are devoted.
And 2 of them are Duncan and Bo.
Yeah, well, 2 others, but again, super fans.
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah.
When are you going to get the Tika episode out, they say.
They keep saying, and I keep saying to them, the more you want it, the less you'll get it. Just be patient.
Right.
Can't rush these things.
But what we really do to start the show, Duncan, is we talk about movies that we've been watching, one good, one bad. Let's keep it contained. And, I got to say, all right, do you want to go first?
Yeah, because I have a good and a bad this week, which will be the first time this year that I actually have something pretty terrible, and the source of said terrible thing might surprise you. So,
Oh, well, now I am intrigued.
so I will leave it to you whether you want me to start with my good or my bad.
You know what? This is a real, like, give me the good news last. What's your good movie? And then let's get to the delightful bad movie.
So the good movie is one that I got a chance to see. I got a screener of. It's available now in the States as of the 15th of January, on demand and digital. It is a thriller, kind of family drama thriller called Don't Tell a Soul. I've just released an episode on it on Podcast Under the Stairs. So you can go across, listen to me chat to the director for about half an hour. Bloody nice guy. But essentially the setup for this movie is ill mother, two teenage sons, rising costs of prescription bills. The two teenage sons rob a house close by. And this is all like first 15-minute stuff. And as they're escaping with the cash, a security man spots them, chases after them. They run through the woods, and the security man falls down like some sort of hole in the ground, like left over from something. But it's quite a deep hole he falls down. Older brother thinks he should just leave him because he's a bit more of the renegade. Younger brother has a real daddy complex in that his dad died when he was young, kind of feels like he should save him. And the mystery unfolds from there, although there is a wicked twist in the middle, which I genuinely loved. It's got a great cast. It's got the young dude from the It movies, the one that played Eddie, you know, the one with the inhaler.
I do, yes.
So him. It has Mina Savari in a, you know, I can't believe you're doing this role because you're a very attractive lady and you're playing a very ill mother of two teenage boys, which I don't think you're old enough to have. Or maybe she is.
Now, Mina Suvari is like, she was young at American Beauty. Now she's middle-aged now.
Yeah,
she has a baby face is the thing.
Yeah, but I thought she was my age in American Beauty. Like when I watched that movie, I thought she was like the same age as me. So I thought she was about 18.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll get to the bottom of this. You continue.
You find out how old she actually is. She doesn't feel like she should have a 17-year-old son.
Real-time fact-checking right here on Duncan and Bo Come Correct. So yeah,
but
go ahead.
The security officer that falls down the hole is played by a certain Rainn Wilson, who is fucking brilliant in this. Because it's a darker thriller sort of role, and he's very, very, very good in it. Yeah, I thought this one was a ton of fun. I think the ending goes in a direction which I, from reading online, infuriated a few people. I thought was all right. I thought it was a bit cheesy, but I was invested in everything else. I think the casting and the script are really, really, really well done. And yeah, just a nice self-contained thriller, which isn't involving the world being blown up or, you know, some sort of government conspiracy, you know, just a good old-fashioned kids with a morality problem. And I thought it paid off very, very, very well. So yeah, it's available if you're in the States. You rent it. It's on demand and digital, 15th of January. I think it's coming its way over to the UK. He said about 6 months, so I would imagine June-ish, July over here. But yeah, go check the trailer. I asked the guy, asked the director of the Twitter, he said, nope, don't use Twitter, don't use Facebook, don't use any of that stuff. I was like, so where should I point the moves like that? The trailer. I was like, you've done this before. So it's like, send them to the trailer, get them to watch the movie. And yeah, it has my seal of approval. I thought it was a fun movie for sure. So that's my good.
All right, so real-time fact-checking, as promised. Mina Savari, currently 41 years of age, was 20 years old when she recorded, when she was in American Beauty. Yeah.
All right, so if she's 40, she could conceivably have like a 17-year-old son.
Absolutely, that's 23. Yeah. If she was born in Georgia, she could have like 8 kids by now.
It's a shot's fired.
A Catholic in Georgia.
I didn't even hear you load that gun, Bo. Fucking...
Yeah. I mean, look, we can move the state. Arkansas, is that better for you? Florida? We'll take a tour of the South. A Catholic in Louisiana, how about that?
She's got another, she must be, like, her agent must be getting her lots of work at the moment, or she just made a lot of movies and this is, I'm finally seeing the light of day. She's got another kind of horror thriller movie coming out that I just got press stuff through from as well. I was just like, I couldn't remember the last time I'd seen her in anything. For like two roles to appear pretty much side by side, felt interesting, especially when they're both kind of not in the genre I would usually put her as an actress. So
she's really good in Stuck. That Stuart Gordon, way underseen.
Yes.
That's a great movie.
Yes,
and she is great in it. Also, JJ in the chat.
I was going to say Ian Dunsmore, who is a listener of the old podcast Under the Stairs, said if she was from Grangemouth, which is where I used to live, she'd be a granny at 33.
Yeah, right. So yeah, JJ also chimed in like, hey, I'm from Georgia.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Like I said, could have been any southern state. Tennessee. I'm from Tennessee. Could have been from here. You go.
Also, we have a promise to make. Well, a promise to keep here. We love you, Jamie.
Absolutely.
Love you.
Oh my goodness. Like I said, everybody here is a little bit better for having Jamie with us at the same time. She'll
be returning real soon to podcast Under the Stairs when we do our second installment of the A24 series. And I'm just going to say it, Bo, not a lot of good movies in that selection.
All right. Well, look,
some horror movie called Hereditary. I don't think I've seen before.
I'll tell you the one. All right. Look, we'll get to the whole slasher thing in a minute, folks. Just calm down.
You just hold your horses.
Just give us a minute. I'm really looking forward to revisiting. It Comes at Night.
Yeah.
Because I remember watching and thinking like, oh, that's totally not what I expected it to be, but it was interesting, and I'm looking forward to watching it again with more measured expectations of what that movie really is.
Cool, yeah.
So, because anyway, well, that's a conversation.
We'll get to
show, but
we'll get that.
But folks, be sure you're paying attention to the podcast Under the Stairs for that.
What's your good? Come on, hit me with it.
Okay, my good is gonna be Psycho Goreman.
Yes, Goreman's no.
I looked at everything I watched, and that was the thing I was most excited about. That movie was a fucking delight, cover to cover. I enjoyed it.
Told you.
I enjoyed it so much. It's one of those movies because it's like, look, this isn't a classic of cinema, but it is such a great, silly homage to like I think I described it as like the Power Rangers after an 8-ball.
It's total. It's the. Did you grow up watching Power Rangers? Have you ever seen that Guyver movie? You know what? You'll like Psycho Goreman, and yes, I really, really, really did. I'm so glad. I've seen a lot of kind of. Seems I didn't think a movie like this would be polarizing per se, but turns out if you're a big fan of that, The Void, which I know me and you were kind of on. It turns out you don't want that director to make a silly, gory movie. Which makes no sense because if you're a fan of Astron 6 and their oeuvre, then you totally want this movie. Because that's what they do. So I don't get it. So much fun though. Do you like hunky men, Bo?
No, I do not like hunky boys. Or do I?
Or do I?
That the guy who does, I can't think of his name now, but the guy who does the voice acting for PG in the movie, it's so good. It is so deadpan, and he never breaks character. It's always, I am the evil overlord of the universe
all the way through it.
Right. And no matter how silly what he is saying is, it's all in the tone of overlord of the universe, and it's just fucking beautiful. It is. The character of Mimi is such an evil little shit. I love the way that the movie goes out of its way to tell you, like, hey, nobody learned a lesson from anything here. Okay? Like, nobody, maybe the power of love, ? With a shrug, and that's,
maybe.
but like, yeah, maybe, but the world around him is fucked. And that's the thing that's most wonderful about it is, like, again, nobody learns any lessons. It's all purely selfish indulgences from beginning of the movie to the end.
I mean, the thing I'd like when I was speaking to the director, the thing that I applauded him on is the silly world building. Like you're just introduced to a lot of characters, and the reflex that I think a lot of people might try and do is give more context to these characters. Like you meet like an intergalactic consortium or council of alien, but they don't explain anything about anyone. You're just flung in the middle of it, and they're all pretty shitty as well. I just like that sort of stuff. Just makes me happy. I think it is pitched perfectly, and genuinely, if you're looking for a movie to cheer you up at the start of what has been, let's be honest, January's been pretty dull. Like all that good stuff we were going to get, which we were never going to get, has not happened. It's a great pick me up. It's a great way to kind of jump into the year. And I would say as well, I know there's some people out there that they're holding off for the physical release, which is March. And some people might even be holding off for the Shudder release, which is May. I would still say, if you got some spare money around, buy it on digital as well. I genuinely want to see him make more movies, and the best way to do that, because a lot of his revenue did not happen last year because of COVID. He was supposed to do all these festivals, which didn't happen. So the best way to show that is swing out a couple of bucks, watch it digital, buy a physical one if you like it, and then watch it when it comes on Shudder as well. I stress that even if you own it, watch it when it comes on Shudder, because those are markers that, you know, indicate to the people that run that streaming site whether or not titles are popular or not. So so do all that. Support it. It is so much fun. You're doing yourself a disservice by not, one, checking it out, or two, not supporting it. So
yeah, I couldn't agree more. You know, vote with your dollars. It is worth every penny. It's wonderful. That $5.99 nice. Totally worth it. Okay, so what's your bad, Duncan? I'm very excited about this now.
Well, not to put a pin in anyone's balloon here, who was excited and waiting for the new Neil Marshall movie, The Reckoning.
No.
FYI, that movie, piece of shit. Like, really fucking bad. Like, to the point where I'm like, did Neil Marshall direct this movie, or did I get this wrong? Is there another Neil Marshall out there? This is bad. Like, bad. The movie is set during the time period of kind of Witchfinder General in England. There is a weird plague sweeping the countryside, and through an abuse of power, the young maiden loses her husband, and because she will not bed the landowner to get out of paying the back rent that's due on the property,
as happens,
which happens, she essentially is brought up on charges of witchcraft. At which time, Sean Pertwee, who I like appears wearing like
the poor man Sean Bean. Yes,
if you imagine like Eddie Murphy in Delirious or Raw with the leather suit. Now imagine it a bit puffier and black. That's what he's wearing.
Hang on, Duncan. Let me show you what I think you mean. No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
This old number.
Right.
Yep.
I call this the Wednesday.
So, like, he shows up and starts basically putting her through the tortures of the witch trials. The movie has some issues. The first big issue is the dialogue is horrific. Like, absolutely horrific. Just not well done, not well constructed. Characters don't speak like... At times, it's like they're going for that kind of ye olde English, and then the next sentence are two steps away from, like, talking about iPhones. Not quite, but you get the point. There's a disconnect in the kind of dialogue. No matter what happens to this leading lady, her makeup, which is, like, 2020's perfect makeup, like just always immaculately done, never changes. Like, she's always immaculate, which makes zero fucking sense. And then the continuity, there's like one scene she goes through, it's like 100 lashes on her back, and her back's all torn up, and then we see her like she's brought and then flung in like a prison cell, and there's not a scratch on her back, and it's not under the guise of witchcraft. or anything like that. She's hobbled, but she walks fine after it. Just like fucking no fucks given on this movie, front to back. And it's just painfully dull above all else. And this is Neil Marshall. This is the guy who did The Descent, Dog Soldiers, Doomsday. He did that Hellboy movie, which I wasn't overly enamored with, but still, it was a big action number. This is a director that he directed most of the big action episodes of Game of Thrones. And it is awful. Like, just bad. A bad movie. And not so bad that I'd be like, it's so bad, so watch it. No, it's just bad. And I can't work out what's going on. If I was him, I would be very quiet that I'd made this movie. But all the sites are getting very excited about it. So it's up to you ultimately to make your own mind up on this. But I'm telling you right now, you're going to go in there with expectations, and those expectations will never be met. It's the worst horror movie I've seen this year.
Wow.
So there you go. Yeah, Neil Marshall, worst horror movie I've seen this year. It is very young, but if I told you January 1st, oh, by the way, by the end of this first month, the worst horror movie that I saw was directed by the great Neil Marshall, would you believe that? I mean, that's the thing that's kind of floored me, is how just unremarkable and unlike his oeuvre it actually is. It's just not good. And sadly, I was pressing for a copy of this and also for an interview. And then I watched the movie and I'm like, I really hope this comes, because I still really want to chat to Neil Marshall. But
Sure.
If he asks me I'm not good at lying, Bo. If he asks me what I think his movie, the words disappointed are going to come out. So I'm trying to work on different tactics, like talking about how great The Descent is. Just pivot to The Descent. There's a cave in one sequence, like that cave in The Descent. Let's talk about that for the 15 minutes that I have you before you jump onto your next interview. Like that way politicians do when they're asked a question and they know they only have 5 minutes, so they'll talk about anything else or elongate the answer as a series of nothings to get through those 5 minutes so they can get away from that might be what I have to do.
In seeing your movie, I thought that the cinematic qualities of the film were obvious, and how it, the sound played such a big role in the way people spoke and the music.
I was recording with our buddy Richard Glenn Smith earlier on, and we were talking about this very thing, not Neil Marshall, but talking about movies, which if a person says, well, this movie's interesting, that's never a good sign. But what he said is that their code for that on the Doom show is that they say, the movie feels personal. So this movie feels personal. And I was like that, yeah, it's the 2 steps away from saying, well, this movie was a real passion project for the director, as in couldn't finance it because no one wanted to finance it. No one wanted to make it except this guy, and no one wants to see it except that director. So it's on that level. And I can't even imagine, I struggle to bring the two things together. It's such a drop. It's such a huge drop in quality. And this is his return back to the genre. Like, he's been away for a while. So it just is not a good movie. And I defy, I want to speak to someone who has seen it and thinks it's really good, because I just don't see any merit in it at all.
Look, here's the thing though. You're talking to Duncan McLeish, you're getting the straight dope. So that's what I appreciate. No bullshit.
Yeah, I like, I would much rather spend my hours exalting the fun and positivity and everything that radiates out of PG than trying to hype up a movie that is going to get a lot more hype. Like Neil Marshall's name against it, I guarantee every publication is going to hype this one up 100 times more than they did PG. And I just don't think that's fair. I think one clearly is made by a filmmaker who loves his craft, is invested in telling the story and wants the audience to have fun. And the other one is made by someone who was clearly asleep at the wheel, who's doing it maybe because it's the only way he can finance a movie, but his heart didn't feel in it at all. So what's your bad, Bo Ransdell? Come on, let's even out the negativity here.
speaking of a pivot away from negativity, let me just say, when you mention Witchfinder General and continuing with our theme of kind of filleting Shudder a little bit,
Yes.
that they just dropped The Blood on Satan's Claw on US
Oh,
Shudder,
so good.
which is it was kind of tough to find before. And so having that on there, I watched it again just the other day, and I was like, this movie's real fucking good. Yeah, terrific movie. I like it more than Witchfinder General. I think. Well,
it's one of the big three.
Yeah, it goes.
It's one of the big three of folk horror.
Yeah, it's Wicker Man, Satan's Claw,
and Witchfinder General.
Are
the three? Yeah, the big three of folk. They're considered the big three of folk horror, and that those movies came out. I think it's like 3 years apart, and essentially solidified that as a genre, so to speak. Even though folk horror predates that, and like Scandinavia were doing movies, Sweden and Norway had been doing folk horror for a while before, but that was the one that they used to the English countryside. And like Witchfinder General is maybe my favorite Vincent Price performance.
It's
like
real
there's
good.
Something really menacingly gleeful about how he portrays that role, even though, once again, to put things in perspective here, like that's another thing that annoyed people. The negativity. Like, people did not live to have grey hair back then. Maybe one or two people did. There's a lot of old people in fucking The Reckoning, and that just didn't make sense. Like, Matthew Hopkins in real life, when Vincent Price is playing that character, was 22 years old, and Vincent Price is not 22 years old.
I can't tell you how much I like that your problem with the movie is like, wait a second, all of these people would be dead by now.
Well, that's a big continuity thing for me. Like,
I'm not disagreeing, but I like it.
Robert Eggers has spoiled me in witch movies.
True. Yeah. No, Robert Eggers is... But,
he has spoiled me on it because he got everything. The detail was immaculate. Even when we were remember when we were chatting with Jamie, and Jamie was like that, the first thing that she saw was hand-stitched clothing, and she's like, oh, they give a fuck about this.
Yeah.
Like, you watch this movie, and every time this leading actress turns around, it looks like she's walked into either a fucking Maybelline counter at a department store, or she's sponsored by Sephora. Honestly, it is like, you've never seen makeup. It's just immaculate all the time. Like, she's just been fucking brutalized, and then next scene, she's sitting there immaculate. She's fucking shite.
All right. So I'll give you my bad, but first, real quick, Lori from chat was throwing in the those euphemisms you use when you're watching something terrible, and
yes.
She says for theater situations, it's everyone must have worked really hard on this, and that's a really good one. Like, oh yeah, you can see that. Yeah, they really. I mean, it's borderline unwatchable, but it looks like somebody was working.
Yes.
Anyway, so my bad, and I won't...
Troubleshoot's a good one as well, for when a movie's just a fucking mess.
Yeah.
Oh, it was I think this was a troubleshoot.
Yeah. AKA the director did not know what the fuck he was doing.
Yeah. The studio had far too much involvement. You know what I mean? Like, it's a patchwork. Oh man, right. Give me your bad.
Okay, so I've watched mostly really, really good, interesting stuff of late.
Oh, look at me, I'm Bo, and I only watch quality. Gone are the days of the Ouija Factory 7.
Don't kid yourself. They're not gone, Duncan. It's just there was one I saw the other day called like Ouija Sasquatch, and I was like, oh sir, oh well, what have we here? So then I saw... That's a future commentary.
That's a money plane commentary.
I'm almost sure it was on Amazon Prime, and it was only like an hour and 6 minutes long or something. So that's why I was like, I mean, that sounds even too shitty for me, but I'll see it someday.
We'll do a commentary on it.
Okay.
And hopefully Kelsey Grammer plays the Sasquatch.
I'll have to confirm that it's Ouija Bigfoot or Ouija Sasquatch, one of the two.
Doesn't matter, both are amazing.
In my head, Sasquatch sounds more official somehow. Like, that sounds more like if you were gonna
working here, they know the real name of the cryptid.
Right. Like, if you had a Ouija board and were trying to summon, would you be like, we summon the spirit of Bigfoot? It sounds a little stupid, but when you say, I mean, well, maybe it sounds stupid both ways, Duncan. I'm not going to argue this, but
Is it going to be like see when they have to do the ultimate exorcism to get rid of the spirit of Bigfoot? Are they going to use the Harry and the Hendersons? Get out of here! We don't love you anymore, Harry.
they get a priest to come in and say that. Get out of here, Sasquatch. Nobody wants you anymore.
Who's in that role again? Who plays
John
that
Lithgow.
guy? Yeah, let's get John.
Yeah.
Let's get John Lithgow. He's still alive. Like,
Yeah, and
Lithgow
it does
to...
weird enough shit that I think he might be game for it. You know?
Get out of here.
Acting. So anyway, that's for a future episode. But what I watched that was bad. I recently rewatched all of those Christopher Nolan Batman movies. And,
nice.
And I gotta say, man, I think that Dark Knight Rises is just kind of a shitty movie. It's a real
Dark Knight,
bummer.
what one's that one? Is that the third one?
Yeah, that's the one with Bane, and there's Joseph Gordon-Levitt running all over that movie that doesn't really amount to much. And
well, I think it was set up to be something that didn't happen, wasn't it?
Yeah,
supposed to be future Batman or something. I can't remember.
Perhaps it all just felt a little like everything about the movie felt like it was contractually obligated, as opposed to actually being like. I love the Dark Knight. Well, ironically, Dark Knight, one of the best movies I've ever seen. It's incredible.
It makes you. I don't know how much of that movie is a hangover from the fact that Heath Ledger took his life.
Right.
You know, you don't know. Like, I imagine, just like what Nolan's like, I imagine there was a distinct idea of what was supposed to be there. Bane is not a captivating villain.
And it doesn't help that you can barely understand him. It's like he's Scottish.
Well, that makes sense because I could completely understand him. So.
But as an American, when he's just like, "No, you can die," and you're like, "What? What?"
Yep.
Well, I need subtitles for this movie I'm in the theater for. I've turned into an old man who needs soup all of a sudden. Where are my subtitles? Give me some cream of mushroom. The beef stew is too chunky. Anyway, so that's the bad movie. I don't want to linger on it because it's a totally competent production. It's just kind of a shitty way to end that franchise. And watching them all back to back, it's like Batman Begins is pretty good, Dark Knight is amazing, and then Dark Knight Rises is like a big mess. I'm like, wait a second, what? There are police trapped in the sewers for how long? Weeks? Are they?
But the way I look at that series is that is very much that to me is the epitome of a horror franchise done as a superhero trilogy. So you start with so much promise, and then you hit those really good ones in the middle, and then ultimately at the end, you're like, oh, no. And why won't you end?
One too far. All of a sudden, there's a dog pissing on Batman's grave.
He's back.
Comes back.
Just right. old busted Batman is the thing that kind of ruined it a little bit for me at the start. It's when I knew I wasn't going to get the movie that I wanted.
The whole idea that Batman was just like, well, guess I'm going to quit. That is a kind of a problem for me. And anyway, but that's a real like nitpicky kind of nerd problem to have with it. I'm kind of willing to let the movie go with that. But all the Catwoman stuff feels so tacked on too. It doesn't really evolve into a real relationship.
I've said before, this is the problem with, and this is where we get the hate mail. So direct it at Duncan, not at Bo. These are not Bo's opinions. This is just my general problem with like comic book adaptations in general. Is that like at some point they need to involve so many nods and so many characters and so many things just becomes nauseating. I think insular is better. I think constantly raising the stakes to an extent devalues the property. There's only so many times I can be worried that the city's going to burn down to the ground or the earth's about to blow up before I'm like, you know what I mean? And that's the problem. You raise the stakes so high so quickly that it's very difficult to rein it back. So when that movie spends half an hour at the beginning with old busted retired Batman, and I'm like, that, what are we doing here? Like, come on. I just want it right in the middle of the action because I paid my dues. I've watched his origin. I want to feel like I have to watch him reestablish himself as Batman. That feels like an origin story, which I have sat through.
I have this image of like singing some blues song about getting through the origin of Batman one more time. I paid my dues.
No,
I know what happened.
That's not even the worst one. That's not even the worst one. It's the Spider-Man origin. It's like I saw that 3 times in the space of 15 years.
Hey, look.
What are we doing, Hollywood?
All credit to the Marvel movies for not bothering with that. I mean, I
don't need to see it.
Okay, so we're getting some clarification on Ouija Sasquatch not appearing, but Ouija Shark and Ouija Mummy did. Might be thinking of Ouija Mummy. Now that I think about it,
let's do it.
Yeah, let's. Well, I don't know. Was it Ouija Mummy? I still feel like there was a Ouija Sasquatch somewhere, and maybe
Ouija
it was just a fever dream. That's
your brain saying, "Bo, this is a script."
Right.
This is a script you should be writing.
Right. Like when I wake up tomorrow, I'll realize, like, oh no, it was Ouija Sasquatch by Bo Ransdell all along.
For years, they've been searching in the woods for the elusive cryptid. Little did they know that he was actually on the other side of the spirit world, coming to a prime near you.
Right. Oh, now look, we'll get into some Sasquatch theories another day, but there is, Duncan, an entire theory about how the Sasquatch is kind of either associated with UFOs or maybe a magical being himself, or Duncan, perhaps it lives in a network of underground caves that allows it to avoid detection. And also,
so the old Friday the 13th remake theory. Nice.
Right. That all the Sasquatches have been like living underground with cages and bells and shit. So when you wander into the woods, they're like, "Oh, we can't. we gotta get
them eating their meal, knife and fork on fine china, and the bell goes, oh.
Cheese it, it's humans." And then they have to go down to the caves for a little while until everybody leaves again. I think we're onto something, folks. Not only is that a great idea. We have lots of great ideas. If you would like us to answer a question, you can drop it in the chat right now. Here are a couple that were sent via Facebook and email. You can, as always, send your questions to Bo, that is B-O, at legionpodcasts.com. That's how the Ram Man sent us a question, Duncan.
Oh, we love that Ram Man.
And he says, and this is kind of on topic, all right, let's get to a serious issue. The Avengers. This is a hypothetical situation, but imagine, if you will, a world where Thanos killed off all the MCU heroes. However, due to some interdimensional fuckery, the space-time continuum is fractured, and now 4 new heroes have arisen to face off against the Mad Titan. Here's the catch. All the heroes are characters from DBCC. So his proposition is Power Ranger Wilford Brimley from the X-Files season, the High Priestess of Death from Too Old to Die Young, which I think is a great call,
yes.
Stand-up comedian Pinhead, which I don't know how effective he's going to be in that scenario, but...
It depends what set he brings with him, Bo. He might slay them. Kill them laughing.
Right. Oh, Thanos. You're a tough crowd.
Yeah. Oh, hello there, Thanos. What is the deal with this airplane food? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't know.
Yeah, that's right. And then his fourth is Hippolyta from Lovecraft Country. And his question...
Yep.
is how fucked is Thanos in this scenario, which we were touching on. He says, as a postscript, I was 100% sober while composing this email. So,
see, what I would do is I would take Pinhead out of the equation, and I would substitute Nadine from Twin Peaks. Her superpower would be the power of her squeaking voice would be enough to make like heads explode, Scanner style. And then I would drop Brimley Power Rangers all together. I'd have a trio like Charlie's Angels of girl power, and I think those 3 girls would kick Thanos' ass.
I like the Nadine inclusion.
She's too good not to include. Like,
Right.
I'll come at you like a monkey. It's all genitals and jaws.
Super powered. Because remember, she had that freak strength when she dressed like a cheerleader. So she is practically a superhero already.
Yeah, that's right.
Not the one that anyone wanted, but what we deserved.
She does get superpower. That man,
she legit is. She is a superhero. So
Twin Peaks is so good, like a superhero.
So fucking good.
But how fucked is Thanos? Look, I think Power Ranger Wilford Brimley alone. It's just like he'll just march in and be like, "All right, cut the bullshit, goddammit, give me that goddamn glove. Everybody's gonna go home."
Mastodon, goddammit.
Right. And then of course you've got the High Priestess of Death, and I mean she'll get Thanos to sing a song and then murder him right after.
I might have to watch that show again because I've been pining for it recently. It was so fucking good. Yeah. I know like Nicholas Winding Refn teased something recently which people are interpreting as a season 2, which I don't think is going to happen, but if it did, I'd be very happy. So
oh wow. I wonder. Either that or like Kojima will turn it into a video game.
Why not?
Yeah.
Spin and rumble.
Speaking of.
Uh-huh.
Question number 2.
Did you just segue? Did you just segue?
I did.
Oh, just like it's a beautiful thing to see in the wild.
Yeah, it felt good. Robert asks, what are a couple of games you both played last year that you had fun with and would recommend? He tags on that he played a bit of Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, which I played a while back. And said he didn't get too far, but that's a real fun game. They did a remaster of it for all the new consoles and stuff. And if you've never played Phoenix Wright, you should. But Duncan, what about you? What games have you played over the past year or so that you would recommend to folks?
The big one for me last year was Ghosts of Tsushima, which I thought was like hands down incredible. I love I'm a big fan of samurai movies and Kurosawa and all that jazz anyway, and it felt very authentic to that. And then playing that game with the score of Seven Samurai and all that play in my headphones is the way you do that. You're just like a renegade Ronin, just roaming the wilds, dispatching Mongols. It was really good. I also got a chance to, although I never ever completed it, and I'm probably going to hold off now because there's rumors afloating that it's going to be remastered for PS5 with additional content. But that Death Stranding, I got halfway through that, and that is a weird fucking game, but for all its weirdness, and I'm just walking from A to B trying not to fall over, it was so immersive that I lost like hours playing that, like just completely like absorbed by the gameplay. So those are probably the two big ones. I'm obviously trying to get back into gaming now, but I don't get nearly as much time, certainly last year, to sit down and video game as much as I want. Just because of the podcast and stuff. But this year I'm making a concerted effort to do more with it. So Bo will have played about 1 million times more games than I did last year. But those are the two that stood out to me.
Yeah, I've yet to play either of those, actually. So Death Stranding for the reasons of, like, I'm kind of waiting for this to hit, like, the remaster. I was kind of hoping they'd throw that into that PS5 package of like, hey, play these old PS4 games, but at some point I'll get to Tsushima. That'll happen this year.
Oh, dude, yeah, that's that. I mean, that's my fear was it was going to feel very much like a kind of the Asian Assassin's Creed that I always wanted but never got. And it does follow certain things like that, but it's if you grew up watching proper like authentic samurai movies from like the 60s and 70s, that's the world it inhabits, and everything is done meticulous. Like there are points in the game, there are all these different haiku points where you just stop and create your own haiku, which I just love. That as just being an element in the game.
Yeah.
So, let's compose a haiku. So I'm like, yeah, let's do that. I know I've just slaughtered a whole band of marauding Mongols a couple of minutes ago, but you know what? I'm gonna stop and compose this haiku while looking at this beautiful waterfall, reminiscing over my dead uncle.
Yeah. I mean,
so
a culture is its art, Duncan. It's not.
Yes.
It's not who you kill. It's who you write about.
Yeah, a culture is its art. I don't know if you know this. Scotland is famous for deep fat frying a Mars bar. It's true.
And God bless their
welcome,
clogged hearts.
You're welcome, world. That one was for you.
Tennessee, we learned how to deep fry a deep fryer, and it's been successful. It's made the county fair circuit.
There was recently a video. There was a video I saw recently, and I can't remember what channel it was on. But it was doing this. It was doing the circle on. If you ever just want to, like, I know Scotland is the brunt of a few jokes, mostly at the hands of Scots, because we do like poking fun at ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
But the list of things that were invented in this country is fucking daunting. Like ridiculous. And there was I need to find it, but there's a guy who goes through it all. He doesn't even touch on the big ones like television and telephone. I mean, he doesn't get as far as that, but the list is like, he just keeps going through it. And I'm like, yeah, we did a lot until like 1940, and then we just stopped. I'm like, fuck it.
Yeah,
eat
just
fat,
take it
fry the Mars bar.
Look, you take a century off, you get your breath, you declare independence, and then you've got the next renaissance of Scotland.
It could happen.
I'm all for
I was seeing, although it did seem like the beginning of a dystopian like horror movie, but Scottish scientists, I think it's Edinburgh University, are on a good track to I think it's create like a vaccine. Well, it won't even be a vaccine, it'll be a curable treatment for motor neurons disease.
Oh, wow.
Like they're very, 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 very close to that, apparently. So Scotland.
And Bugfast and kebabs, Ian points out.
Yes, yeah, that is true. That's
Bugfast is fucked up, you guys.
Buckfast is not nice.
Yeah, that's a rough
I can't drink it.
Yeah,
I can't drink it, and I've got friends that like my older brother, like, and he's not an alcoholic. I just want to stress that right now. But my older brother,
that's always how a good story starts.
He's not. But if my older brother is going for, like, if he's going for a night out or whatever like that, like, I've been at weddings with him where like early like, because I imagine America's the same. Like, you go to the reception, alcohol is a bit pricey because it's a wedding, so they tack a couple of pound on a pint, and he'll very, very quickly go, right, like, come on, and we'll go and try and find like because I know America is different depending on what state you are, but pretty much any shop can apply to be an off license. So like even small like grocery shops can be an off license. So like alcohol is readily available, and he will, come on, let's go, and he'll go in and buy himself a bottle, which he will just sink as if it's nothing. And that's him in the zone. And if I have a sip of it, I vom. I'm like right from The Exorcist, like funnel of green split pea soup right across the room. But he can. That's his night out started when he has one of them, and it's vile.
Oh, that's the worst.
Petrol mixed with Vimto, says Ian. So that's his description of Buckfast, which isn't far off it. Well, you missed the caffeine. There's like that caffeine content in fucking Buckfast is through the roof.
Anytime you're basing your beverage decision on, I need to be really, really fucked up, but I can't fall asleep right now. Like, you're in a weird place in life, and you just need to stop and think about it.
It's how you go drinking in Elm Street, Bo. I don't know if you know that.
Right. Yeah, the Elm Street kids need Buckfast, but the rest of us...
forget, what was that, Hypnosil?
Yes, I was about to make a Hypnosil joke. God damn you.
It should have been Buckfast.
Yeah. 1, 2, Buckfast coming for you. It's the song they sing when you're about to be homeless.
Yep.
So, Duncan.
Yes, Bo.
Let's get to the real reason we're here. How about we start the show?
You mean we haven't already?
Ish. So as
they call a preamble.
Yeah, that's an introduction. which has become
Yeah.
just half the show.
Yes.
But so this episode, and as always, I would point out to listeners, look, not only do you not have to watch this show to enjoy this portion of our show, we kind of recommend you don't.
Yeah,
I think.
and let's not give them any more. I mean, once they make season 4 and Cronenberg's done his bits and left,
Right.
let's just make sure, like, unless that season is amazing, 3 episodes in, I am surprised this got a season 2.
Yes, but we'll anyway. Let's get to our dark business, which is a show that we mention is entitled "Like as Fire Eateth Up and Burneth Wood."
Yeah,
which
rolls off the tongue.
Right, as I think about it, just means as things burn.
Yes,
That's a
burny things.
a long and stupid way of burning wood. So anyway, it's prom night, 1968, and the movie Night of the Creeps is just beginning, Duncan. And I get excited for a second, but it turns out that this convertible is not, in fact, in Night of the Creeps, which is a real bummer. It is instead in Slasher. And it's a bunch of kids, like high school kids, on their way to prom, I believe.
Yeah, this is how the previous episode finished. So, but we're getting a bit more context, a bit more meat on the bones, Bo.
Yeah, because the one thing that I constantly think when I'm watching Slasher is, could you go into more extended detail? and so a couple of girls in the front seat are arguing about some music, and like the stuck-up girl, as we will learn, is what's her name, Sonia, the older lady who's now married to the mayor.
Yeah.
And she's like, who needs all that Rolling Stones in music that's good to fuck to when you have Frankie Valli? And Ada, her friend, is in the middle. Yeah, it's real snarly. And Ada's like, I like that music, but I like Frankie Valli too, because I'm a bridge builder. I'm a peacemaker.
Yeah. Speaking of bridges.
Right. And so as they're talking about that, they're driving under this bridge, and crazy girl from the last episode is dropping a cinder block from the bridge into the moving convertible, and it fucking hits the girl, that the bridge builder, the peacemaker, Ada, right in the fucking skull.
Yeah, I believe this is like an actual physical cop block.
Right, it's a block.
A block.
Yeah. and we'll get to the reasons why this happens. Yeah. And right before this, they're also bad-mouthing their quote slut friend, who it turns out is the best character on the show.
Best character by a country fucking mile.
Yeah, and anyway, so we cut.
Also, like, just before we go any further, that revelation, which we're going to get to, but like, that character can't really criticize her daughter for all the film sex, surely.
No, she's a fucking murderer. Or almost attempted murderer.
You know what I mean? Like, I was just thinking, like, I pivoted from that to the righteousness that she was like sweeping out amongst everyone in the previous episode, and I was like, the lady doth protest too much.
Right. So, I mean, like, we'll get to it, but Sarah is right when she's like, "You're a fucking murderer," You
murdered her.
You might as well have put a potato in her mouth and choked her to death.
Sometimes stereotypes are true, Bo.
Yeah, sometimes they are.
That's how they execute people in Ireland back before corporal punishment was
before the potato famine. Punishment. That's why the potato
famine
happened.
No. They used the poison potatoes to kill them.
Oh.
Death by poison potato.
The old poison potato routine.
You think I'm gonna fall for the old poison potato in the tailpipe?
You gotta let it come loose. Say, I ain't gonna fall for no potato, no tailpipe. What you don't know is I've slowly been building up an immunity to poison potatoes. But you would know. Anyway, so we cut away from this horrible tragedy of this girl getting knocked in the fucking skull with the cinder block to this old woman laying in bed, and we see Brenda, our grandmother, Sarah's grandmother on the show, and she's like, I gotta tell you, Ada, I'd trade places with you in a second.
Look at you lying there. You look so classy.
Right. Look, after the day I've had, I could use a nap for about 20 or 30 years. Anyway, so then we do our opening credits, and we come back to Robin just kind of fondling Justin's dead body in a funeral home, because remember, he died in the last episode because of rat poison.
Yeah, the most elaborate setup ever. Like, Jigsaw would be proud.
Right. Justin, I want to play a game.
Yeah, it will take an entire episode to do and will involve implausible situations with your boyfriend, which I'll use as a distraction to get you. Do you want to play?
Oh god.
No.
Anyway,
I don't want to play.
I need at the end of this season, I need whoever is behind this, probably Cam, to sit down and say, here is how I orchestrated everything, because this is baffling. This is Giallo level complicated.
Yeah, at this point just now, I want Cam to be revealed, but also to have his face removed and realize it was Willie, the lighthouse keeper.
I want to be Chief Brimley all along, and
God
damn it! I'm just tired of all you telling me that I'm wrong. So
they're moaning so much about a serial killer being in the town that he actually gave him a serial killer in the town. Kind of like that.
Yeah,
watch what you ask for.
Yeah, it's a real careful what you wish for. So
yes, Brimley going to give it to you. Brimley going to give it to you. God damn it.
I now Rat Brimley is all I can think about.
Rat Brimley, he's got big golden chains round him, a bandana, a grill. Oh, could you imagine Wilford Brimley with like a gold grill in his mouth?
Instead of like a Lil Jon yeah, it's God damn it. He comes in to just jump on people's tracks to God damn it.
His mobility scooter's got those
spinners, yeah. Some neon underneath.
I need that movie.
Sir, gotta go. I'm about to drop something on Lil Nas's new record. Got to head to the studio, goddammit.
I love this idea of like a kind of almost Usual Suspects flashback to how things actually happened between Biggie and Tupac. You
Right.
find it was Brimley that killed them all along.
Yeah, Brimley with that gun in Vegas. Biggie says hi, goddammit. Flap, flap, flap. I think we cracked the case.
Finally. I knew we would, though. It was inevitable.
Anyway, Duncan, in the show that we're talking about.
Oh, yeah, the show. That's right.
Yeah.
Slasher.
Sarah and Dylan are heroes, ? Just kind of park somewhere and start walking around. I wasn't really sure why. It's clear they're coming from the funeral, and then they just get out of their car and they wander to the police station.
Mm-hmm.
But Dylan's like, well, at least it was a nice service, and people seem to really like Justin. And Sarah flips out on him, and she's like, Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, it's not a popularity contest. And she's like, look, I'm sorry. I've been under a lot of pressure lately on account of all the murders and thinking I might be next and all. And Dylan's like, yeah.
Kind of transitioning a little bit towards Dick Van Dyke. Love it. Keep it going.
Whatever.
But I'm confused whether she's a humble Irish potato farmer or a Cockney chimney sweep. It's kind of like the Brundle fly equivalent. Keep it going, Bo.
Why do you have
Loving
to put
it.
labels on stuff, Duncan? Have you not watched In and of Itself yet? So... Don't worry about the accent. She's not. We care more about her accent than she did, clearly.
Oh God, she doesn't give a fuck, Bo.
Do not paint me as the villain here. I will not stand for it or sit for it.
I will stand for nothing.
So, but Dylan's whole argument against her being upset is just like, baby, everything's confusing right now. It's like, what? And he's like, yeah, just don't worry about it. You are a terrible husband. That is the shittiest advice I've ever heard.
It's like 2 seconds away from saying life is hard.
It is. It's a total like, I don't know, shit's fucked up, I guess. And that's it.
I bought you a t-shirt that says life's a bitch, then you die.
And so they just wander to the police station where a bunch of vagrants with cameras are standing waiting for the chief to come out. And Cam is like, hey, I'm going to have the cop car watching your house and stuff. And then this mayor, who's Sonia's husband and all that, he comes out. He looks like he is either on or fresh off of a bender. You know, like his clothes are all rumpled. So, I mean, it's just like, you know, hail to mayor hangover. And he comes out to just announce, like, well, we arrested Heather. And Dylan, who maybe Sarah just followed Dylan along because he was supposed to be reporting on this, but they're also coming from the funeral. This is all real hazy. But anyway, Dylan is like, yeah, Dylan from the one newspaper in town. Yeah.
Dylan, we had dinner at your house last night. Because they all know each other. Come on.
Yeah, it's so stupid. And then he says, Dylan is like, hey, do you believe the murders of Justin and Verna McBride are connected? And the mayor's just like, totally, 100%. Yeah, like we got a real problem, a real killer. And Dylan actually looks surprised, like, oh, did he just answered that question in a straightforward manner? Oh, all right.
Hangover, Bo. See, when you're hungover, you will say anything to make the conversation stop.
Right? He's just like, whatever, man. And fortunately, Chief Brimley shows up and just pushes him out of the way. He's just like, all right, goddammit, look. I got something to tell everybody. We got the goddamn autopsy results from that gay feller. And before he can get anything out, which, by the way, why are you interrupting somebody reporting autopsy results? That is something this guy will never do. Like, hey, before you get to the cool reason why someone died, let me interrupt you to ask questions. Jesus Christ. Sit on it for a second. But
let me tell you everything that we know.
Right.
Let's just get like all those details out there in the public domain. I hope you're writing this down, news folk.
And instead, before he can get it out, some lady reporter is like, wait a second. I've got a question. What do you think Heather's motive was? And he's like, look, that's kind of an ongoing investigation. Yeah. And Brimley is like, look, we had a goddamn eyewitness. It said there were some issues with business dealings with Justin, and she was real upset about it. And that's all. I'm done. Questions over.
Case closed.
And so as he's taken off, Sarah is like, I think they got the wrong executioner. I'm going to do that every time I see you taking a drink, just an FYI. And I think the real one's still out there.
Something isn't adding up here.
Yeah. We better investigate.
Zorks? Fucking Scooby in the back. Oh, man. No.
Ruh-roh, Sarah. Anyway, so Brenda is back in, like, or still at, question mark, Ada's bedroom. Mm-hmm. And talking to her about, like, you know, oh, back in the day. Look, here's some pictures of the people we went to school with. Look at this fat pig. Huh? Remember when he looked like a real something back in the day? Now he looks like you'd be clapping for him to grab a fish out of a trainer's hand. And Sonia, her bitchy friend that she ran into on the street in the last episode shows up and is like, "Hey, dummy, she's a vegetable. She can't hear you." And Brenda's
She's
like,
been like that since that stone fell out of the sky.
right.
And
Hey.
a crime that no one seems convinced or even interested about doing anything about anymore.
Right, dude.
Incidentally, where were you that night? You know what I mean? Just doesn't make...
Well, but what we realized is they were talking about her in the car, and they were like, "Yeah, she doesn't have a date to prom because she's a slut." And slut.
I don't know if that's how that works. Like the prom, I would have thought that would have, like, in that time period, that would have aided your selection for prom.
Right. You're certainly not the last pick for dodgeball. You know what I'm saying?
Also, you're not dodging them balls.
No.
You know what I mean?
You're accepting them. Thank you, balls.
You're gargling them.
Oh, Duncan.
What?
That's rude.
Who said that? Bad. Like that's a bad thing that happened there.
And so Sonia is like, I come by every other week and spruce her up, aka put some makeup on this potato. And Brenda is getting chatty about like, oh, it is so nice that we can see each other again. And Sonia's like, hey, cut the bullshit. What are you doing here? And Brenda's like, okay, you got me. I've been kind of a bad friend for a little while, but I'm trying to make up the lost time. And Sonia is like, first of all, go fuck yourself. I can't give you whatever absolution you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And Brenda's like, fine, I'm leaving. But you know what? I wish that cinder block had fallen a couple of feet to the left. You know what I mean, Sonia? Like on your noggin? Huh? and then she takes off and Sonia is like, bitch. And
bitch.
Yeah, I like these two are almost coming to blows every episode, which I really dig.
Which would be a good thing to flesh out over more episodes, Bo.
It would have been nice, yes. So we cut to Sarah, who is hanging art in her gallery.
Of course she is.
Right. Like she in one day she painted it and got the register set up and all that stuff. Now she's hanging art.
I'm looking forward to this scene because the way she looks back in this scene and kind of plays it off as if maybe she was in the wrong. I'm going to say she was in the right 100%. This guy, like when he come through the door, a rape whistle should have been used straight away.
He should give one to her. You're going to need this in a minute.
You're going to need this for this scene. Because like this guy comes in, he's looking around and she's like instantly she's kind of something kind of strange here. Asks a lot of questions. She's getting very personal with the pictures. He's particularly fascinated by it, and this is the best thing. The picture that's out on the shop floor amongst all the other paintings that are for sale, Bo, that looks like it might be for sale. And he just wants to know who did it. Can he buy it and all the rest? And of course, this is a picture that she started painting since the executioner appeared back on the scene. So this is obviously her, channeling this as part of her, artistic musings on the canvas. But this guy is 2 steps away from full-on physical assault.
Yeah.
Right?
He's
like right up in her face and he's cordoned her off. And it's very personal. The way she talks about this later on is if this innocent customer came in to buy a picture and she overreacted. I'm like, no, you should have kneed him in the balls, maced him in the eyes, flung him out the fucking door, locked it, phoned the police. There's a killer on the loose.
Yeah. It's a disturbing performance from this dude. Like, he's the kind of guy that just stops just a little short of asking for some of her hair. You know,
I swear it was not far off it. It is so blatantly. I mean, there's red herrings, right? And then there are, look at this guy, look at this guy, look at this guy. And that is literally what they're doing here. And he's just been invited, he's just been like invented as a character for this particular scene. So he's not the fucking killer. We know that, Slasher. So don't bother trying to make it that way. And if you're going to make it that way, make it more through, the whole scene is through her eyes. And this guy doing things that could be interpreted as reasonable through her eyes, or, are menacing. But no. This guy literally is the creepiest creep ever who has creeped in a gallery. It's...
Yeah, his opening gambit is, "You're Sarah, I take it?" And she's like, "The fuck?" And he's like, "Yeah, I looked you up on the Chamber of Commerce website. I've paid attention to everybody who moves into town, and I've got a file on them at home.
I've got a hole cut in my pocket to keep my change right now. You know what I mean?
I moved here last spring, and I just need some stuff on my walls other than feces and straw, and." And then after he hits on...
I need proper art on my wall, not photos of all the women that are in town with red circles around their faces and their husbands cut out of the pictures.
Those belong in the files. I also cut out their eyes, Do you see? Huh?
Do you see? That is a real Tom Noonan performance, isn't it? He's 2 steps away from pulling the stocking just over the top of his head to buy a picture.
Hey, you want to go pet a tiger? Huh, Sarah? Come pet my tiger. So, and later on, though, I mean, to your point, she goes home and calls Dylan, who is still at work? And is like, "You're never gonna believe it. This really nice guy came in and bought 6 paintings."
Yeah, really nice guy enthusiastic buyer who bought 6 paintings, practically sexually molested me. But because I'm paranoid, I took the things that he did in my shop as being aggressive.
Yeah, and then she's like, "Boy, I sure wish you was home so I can feel safe. I miss you." And then outside we see that, hey, someone, aka the Dark Condom, is watching. Yep. And there's like, you see the police car kind of position.
I am the condom you need, not the condom you want. I've got a hole in the tip.
I need something mobile for dogs. Yeah. You sure, Dark Condom? Yes, you heard what I said.
Oh, is that not Master Wife?
Some condoms just want to see the world burn, Master Wayne. I will not bury another condom. I won't do it.
Flushing it down the toilet.
Yeah. Another used condom, Master Wayne. I want to see you as a condom while I drink my Fernet Bronco. So, it's real dumb. And so, meanwhile, our man Robin is on the phone with an angry customer, who's, something about listing a house or something. And Robin is like, "Hey, husband just died and was murdered horribly from poison. How about you give me a break?" And
you might have read about it because it's in the papers, the local paper front page.
Yeah. And so he hangs up on this dude, and then in comes Trent.
Trent, which the show is so desperately wanting you to say, well, Trent's a killer.
Right. He's doing everything but, like, reading a copy of The King in Yellow.
Oh, at the end of this episode, this is Slasher's equivalent of the gas mask scene. Yeah. At the end of episode 3 of fucking True Detective.
Yes.
It's like, honestly...
I see what you're doing, Slasher. I see what you're doing.
I'm like, really? I've been doing this. I've been doing it, really? Oh, man. No. So Trent comes in, and Trent's all heart. There's a big heart in this guy.
Yeah, it like his whole deal, which isn't wrong, is that Justin had given him a check that bounced, And Robin is like, well, let me check and see what I got on me. And Trent's like, oh, no. This is a $250,000 check. It's the down payment for my hunting lodge. And I'm going to come back tomorrow, and I'm going to expect a check for $250,000 that doesn't bounce. And
I mean, I'm not au fait with things to do with checks. That like I luckily grew up in a time period where checks were kind of on the way out. And could you cut a check for $250,000?
Sure, you could. You can write a check for anything.
It's fucking nuts.
Yeah, I can write a check for $3
that
billion
anyone-
right now, Duncan.
I'm surprised that anyone got anything done. Like, I'm surprised that everyone wasn't fucking bankrupt and there's one supreme ruler who, like, I mean, checks are so easily fucking forged.
Let me tell you a little story. When I worked at a little grocery store when I was in high school, you know, I did like bagging groceries and stocking shelves, that kind of shit. It was a little mom and pop place. And this is before the age of widespread internet. And so when people would run those scams, they would come in and we would charge a fee to cash a check. But what they would do is, you know, take that money, deposit in their bank to cover the other checks that they had written. So it's this constant like cascade of, I gotta stay ahead of it. Yeah. And some people would get real fucked, like somebody would just not show up for a while and you'd be like, hey, what happened to Willie? And they'd be like, oh, he's in jail now. He was passing bad checks all over town. And but you know, we got our money. So
paying was it they say what's that? I can't remember. There's a paying Peter to pay Paul. No,
robbing Peter to pay Paul.
That's it, robbing Peter to pay Paul. Like that sort of idea. I never understood like the whole check thing at all. I suppose maybe the world was just a bit more trusting.
It was before we got to know that everybody was kind of a shitbag. You kind of were free to assume that some people were good, and you know that's largely been dispelled. But
the last 5 years has really went out of his way to make sure that you don't think that.
All right, let's get to the one of the scene winners of this episode, which is Brenda hanging out at the bar, the local bar, having a martini, and Mayor Hangover comes in for a little hair of the dog, and Brenda sees him as like, oh, Ronnie, how about you come sit down next to Brenda?
Sit down beside your old pal, Brenda.
And he's just like, well, I don't know. I mean, I probably shouldn't. Cut to a hallway, and he and Britta are just fucking in the hall.
Yeah, he's trying to get knuckles deep, and Brenda's, Brenda's like moving them around, maneuvering, and it looks like things are about to get like, oh man. And you know what I love is that the Mayor Hangover just keep mentioning the fact that he's married. I mean, nothing turns on a woman like the fact that the man she's about to fuck is married. I mean, this is like, you know, and then mentioning how great she looked when she was younger and all the rest. And then Brenda dries up quick. She's like, I'm not wanting any of this.
Yeah, totally changes her mind midstream. And he's like, oh, come on, baby, you want this as much as I do? And then Brenda says, and I quote, look, your ass feels like cauliflower. You got more hair on your back than your head. And your dick has always been 2 sizes too small. So no, I don't need it.
What was missing in that scene is all the doors in the hallway should open up and people should just come out like, boom!
Right.
It's the sickest burn.
It's tremendous. And one of
someone
the reasons...
someone calling 911 to get like we need a burns unit here straight away stat.
The bartender just leans into the hallway with a bottle of aloe. Sir, I believe you're going to need this on account of that sick burn.
Yes, someone out of nowhere, just for no reason at all, the camera pans them like, damn!
Right.
God damn! And totally like, because it's an amazing put down, like just well crafted. But then I was thinking about this. What was Brenda always going to do this then? Was it just to, like, the motivation's not fully formed here? Is like, was she always going to do this just to humiliate him as a way to get back at these people, or was this a fact that she really wanted? She's on this tear to try and recapture her youth. That she really wanted this, and then in the moment she, her heart grew 3 sizes that day, and her conscience did as well. I don't know. It just feels like so strange. And once again, she's the best character in this.
Yeah, my theory, Duncan, and it's only a theory because you're right. There's so much fan fiction you have to write to make this show make sense.
Yep.
But my theory is that it is kind of recapturing her lost youth a little bit, because there's the conversation in the convertible about how like Ronnie she might have been into Ronnie, and Sonya as a kid is shutting that shit down, is like, no, Ronnie that's my dick, and so I think there's a little bit of that, and then coupled with her realizing like what she's doing and kind of the shame of it, of like, what am I'm a grown woman trying to chase this. And again, this is all me reading into what I kind of want that character to be versus maybe what it is.
Yeah. Which is probably a writer's room going, I don't know what to write next. Maybe they fuck. Maybe they stop in the middle of it. Yeah, let's just do both.
How about instead the executioner shows up? Yeah, good, Jim. And so, right, and that's what happens. We cut from that to the dark condom yanking the cop out of his cruiser in front of Sarah's house.
Once again, also kind of maybe hinting towards the fact that this might be Cam.
It might be Cam. Like, I think Cam or Dylan are kind of the people that you're maybe chasing. But
because like Cam, you would have thought like Cam's the one that put the cop car there,
right?
So what better way to throw them off the scent than to be Cam?
Right, and also to not be married or anyway. So Sarah is inside the house, and she gets a phone call, but nobody says anything. And she's just like, "Oh, Faith and Pegora," and she hangs up. And then it rings again, and hello, and nothing. So it rings a third time, and finally she's like, "All right, here's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna go get the cop outside." And listen
here, I got a particular set of skills that make me a very dangerous woman to prank call.
Yeah. Listen, you're about to be taken.
Because that is your accent. I've realized that since the last recording. You are doing the female Liam Neeson, and I love it.
All right, well, look, call it what you will. It is.
It's amazing. That's what I call it, Bo.
So
Liana Neeson is your voice just now. It's amazing.
I'll take it. And then the voice is like, "Do you like scary movies?" She's like, "What? What?" And
Jason's mother is the killer in Friday the 13th. Oh shit!
I do that. And then she says, the voice says, "Brave, stupid Sarah." And then she's like, "Oh, I know it'll put an end to this." And she hangs up, and like star 69's the number or whatever to call it back, and it starts ringing from inside the house.
Oh my god!
And then the executioner, aka Dark Condom, starts coming down the stairs after her, and she tries to run outside, but opens the door, and there's the cop's body, and she's like, "Oh." And then like turns around and runs the other way, and then like right towards the executioner, and she's like, "Oh!"
Yeah.
Like,
instead of jumping over the body to continue out, she comes back into the house, Bo.
It's so dumb. You're right. So just jump over the body. Like, why are you anyway? So she decides, like, "Oh, wait, I've seen some movies. What's the best place to hide? I know, the closet." And so she runs upstairs to the closet like Jamie Lee Curtis. And like the Dark Condom is slowly coming up the stairs and comes to the door and starts rattling it and shit. And Sarah's holding it closed. And then there's nothing for a second. And then she hears Cam's voice calling after her, like, "Sarah, you home?" And he finds her.
Your old buddy Cam, not the killer.
Right. She rushes out, and he's got like dark circles around his eyes like a raccoon.
It is a total like boyfriend killer moment. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's except it says cop killer. You know what I mean? I mean it's too much kind of leaning towards Scream for me not to think it's Cam.
Right, and because he kind of looks out the window like the killer went out that way.
Yeah.
But it could also very well just be him like thinking, I almost had her. I don't know why he's Irish too. That's just me fucking up.
Well, it's just infectious, Bo.
It is. I
It's like Pontypool. It just like spreads through language.
I talk like that more than I should. But so later, Chief Brimley is saying like, look, first and foremost, this is not some goddamn executioner. He's dead. All right? Whoever killed Vera McBride and Justin ain't the goddamn executioner. And Brenda and Dylan are bickering as well about Sarah moving away. Like you know, Brenda's position is, you got to get her out of here. Like she's going to end up dead.
Brenda's position is what I said 5 minutes into episode 1. like, why is she back in this house? Regardless of the sweetheart deal she got, why is she back in the house that her parents were murdered in?
Yeah.
Why?
And
like,
also had just been attacked.
Brenda's, yes, like Brenda is like, she should not be here. And I'm like that. Brenda, cock teasing old bitch, I'm with you 100%. Let's get her out. Like, and if you cared anything, Mr. Boyfriend Man, you would have had her out a long time ago.
Yeah. No, yeah, 100% correct.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, so they're trying to figure out, is she going to leave tonight? Is she going to leave in the morning? And Sarah looks at Dylan. She's like, so, are you going to take off back to that paper? Or are you going to take care of me in the house? And he's like, no, baby, I'm going to be here. And she's like, all right, we'll stay here tonight. And then first thing in the morning, we're going to get the hell out of here.
Once again, go now. Like this, you don't have to charter a train or book a carriage or anything like that. You have a vehicle. There's 3 of you. You can alternate drivers. Leave the fucking town.
Right. Right.
Like, why? Oh, let's just sleep on this decision one night. Makes not a lick of sense. If you're committed to go.
Hop on the bus, Gus. Don't need to discuss much. Get the fuck out. And but they're gonna stay. And Cam is watching over this, and Brenda starts to eyeball Cam a little bit, like, look at this.
Oh, like
water.
she does. She's like,
Yeah. And but
I am, in fact, resisting. I'm resisting arrest.
Hey, you know what a gilf is? and
she's a super gilf. She's super gilfy.
It's unplanned, unrehearsed.
Yeah.
But all right,
Magical.
so then they stay in the house. The next morning, Sarah is like complaining about the fact that you're never going to believe this. Chief Brimley ain't going to release Heather because it could have been a prank or something at my house instead of the real killer. And also, I don't know, the judicial system, like just because it's like, oh, maybe the person we arrested isn't the right person.
Yeah.
There's still a process to release them. You still have to weigh evidence and shit. And
yeah, you can't just be like, oh, this isn't the right. Let's let them go. Like, my bad. Sorry.
Right. Yeah, Chief Brimley is like, we arrested her. No backseat. Sorry.
Yeah. She's going to our town serial killer jail.
Yeah.
we
got 2 cells, one for the resident serial killer, one for other. So she's also she tells Robin he needs to leave as well. And because they're having this walk through the park, Sarah and Robin, and he's like, look, there's this whole will that I have to unravel, not to mention the house and the business. And also, I just don't understand why Justin was a target. And Sarah's like, you got to really think about it sometimes. Yeah, he must have done something to get onto Executioner's radar.
Well, this is the theory from, like, Tim the Killer. Tim the Killer has basically told her that everyone has a sin somewhere.
Right.
And that's how is he picking them? You know, was she roaming around the west? You know, so it's like,
Is she a great big fat person?
sure, great big people. So he's put forward the suggestion that everyone holds a secret, which is the nauseating part of this show, because I now know that every episode is going to start with, well, this happened in the past for this person, and then we're going to flash forward and see them die by the executioner, because that's how this show's written. But the idea, and I mean, it's not difficult to work out what the idea might be. They move into some territory, though, which was slightly unexpected and dumb as fuck.
Yeah, it so far doesn't seem to be going anywhere, but we'll see.
Yeah.
So, but after Sarah kind of questions Robin, he's like, yeah, there was that one time that we pushed some squatters off our land who later died in a tenement building.
Yep.
And
of
she's
cold.
like, yeah.
like,
Like trying to keep themselves warm with a propane heater, like choked on the propane or something. And she's like,
what
yeah,
year was this?
something like that.
Like when all this was happening, it was like, what year did this happen? Like,
right. How long have you lived there? When did the right? Like this was all like, well, Justin bulldozed the whole lot, and he didn't know those people were there or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. So Dylan goes to Allison at the newspaper to quit and or inform her that he's leaving.
Yeah.
And I think maybe she is his boss. I think we
I
finally
think she owns the paper.
Yes.
I think she owns the paper and he is the editor.
Right. And Allison is like, I totally get it. I totally get why you would want to leave on account of all of these horrible murders. But
it's the big buts coming a mile off here. But, and then the most unlikely, stupid, like, because when you unpack what she puts forward here, like my eyes rolled so far back. I'm surprised they managed to roll forward for this recording. I've been walking about the house 2 weeks blind, looking like the Undertaker. She basically puts forward that his story has been picked up by some outlets, some national outlets. And, if there was just one more death, Bo, just one more death, you know what? Prime time.
Mm-hmm.
Prime time. Now, let me just put it forward to you. You have a potential serial killer identified in a small town. Your articles have been picked up by larger publications. The CNN's not there, the Fox, the NMSBC, all these people are not there, like at all. Because none of those shit heat reporters from the start were like, so-and-so, Fox News, like right. None of that. Like, so this doesn't make any sense. In fact, it makes even less sense, and to the point where it infuriated me a little bit, because I was like, well, they're either like interested, they're picking up those things, but if it's identified that there's a serial killer in a small town, big news outlets are there. They are. Like, there's someone is there. Someone is there. They're not relying on fucking bumfuck backwards Herald reporting on this one. They send a competent journalist there to do some investigation. But no. This is the and then what I love about this is how quickly remember it's not about my job. I'm coming with you, baby. We're going. I love you. We're gonna do this together. We're gonna drive tomorrow morning. How very quickly he's like, national newspapers, you say,
right.
Call to the big time, you say, One more murder, you say, It's just such a. I didn't like this character anyway. I like him less now.
And Allison is like, look, but totally go take care of your wife.
Yeah, totally. Just leave.
Don't even worry about the opportunity. I understand you got to take care of yourself and your wife. And he's just like, oh yeah. My wife, sure.
She's like that. She's like, oh, my phone's going. What's this? CNN. Oh, right. 2 seconds.
Yeah, right. Like,
hello?
Oh, another editor-in-chief? Yes, I will talk to you. 1 second, Dylan, Sorry. I wasn't expecting this call. But I need to take it.
I need to...
So Dylan goes home, and Sarah and Brenda are throwing their shit in the car. They're ready to get out.
Yes, they're doing the right thing.
Yeah. And so when he shows up, he's like, hey, Hey, Sarah. Hey.
Yeah, cheeky bitch.
Can I talk to you for a second? Just you and me. And Brenda's like, oh, I get it. I'm going to go in the house and grab my carton of smokes. Give you two lovebirds a second to figure things out.
Like Brenda's going for I told you so drink.
Yeah.
She just, which she'll have first so she can talk about how she told her so on the journey to the hotel. It's brilliant.
I want a dry martini, a.k.a. gin in a glass. And Dylan is like, oh, baby, I'm sorry. You know Allison, right? And how mean she
Allison.
is. You know
So
Allison.
mean.
And she is going to make me give her 2 weeks notice for my job. So
The job that up until recently we thought he managed, but no. 2 weeks notice.
And Sarah's like, so you're not going? And he's like, no, baby, I'm going, just not right now.
Yeah, 2 weeks or
Right.
maybe less.
It's nothing. It's nothing.
Nothing.
And so Sarah's just like, all right, how about you go fuck yourself then? And
She does what I would do straight away. She calls Bill to the shit ball.
yeah. And she's like, hey, Mom, get out here. No, you're not driving. So
She's got the cigarette in her mouth and the gin in her hand. She's good to drive.
absolutely. She's all I need is for you to hold my drink when I shift. You've been doing it since you were a little girl. You know the routine. Remember when Grandma used to go make you buy her cigarettes? Remember that? Yeah, you remember that. So they take off.
She's like Mama Fratelli. Like
I
used to sing to you where you're
who's a good boy?
Ride my baby.
Mama, you've been bad. So Sarah and Brenda fuck off. And Brenda immediately is like, look, I'm not saying you should get a divorce, but if you did, I know a certain cop that might read your rights to you. You know what I'm saying? And she's like, oh, you
She's
mean
seen his
Kev?
nightstick. You know what I mean? Oh,
No,
hi-ho.
he's just my friend. And Brenda's like, friends like that you could use more of. And then this big ass pickup truck, like oversized tires and shit.
The truck from Jeepers Creepers
Yes.
makes an appearance in this show.
Right.
The truck from Jewel appears.
It runs him off the road.
Like fucking driving towards him.
Dennis Weaver's like, you can't beat me. Let me see your face, you son of a bitch. And almost wrecked the voice on that one, Duncan.
Oh man.
And
Oh.
they get driven off the road into the woods. Brenda, though, puts down her gin long enough to be like, hang on, honey, I put a little something in the glove box.
Yeah,
And
like Brenda hasn't spilled a drop of that gin as well, like a pro.
No, even running off the road, like she balances it in her hand, like, you know.
She is Eddie Murphy in The Golden Child. Like,
Yeah.
having to get like that glass of water without spilling a drop.
Yeah, the whole time
But
she's like,
I got the gun.
I got the gin. Give me the gin, please.
But she has like she's a big old fucking high caliber gun in the glove compartment.
Yeah.
Which she takes out and turns out Brenda, even with a drink in her, is a good shot.
Because she has a drink in her. Finally, her hands are
Steadies
steady.
hands.
Yeah. So, after popping a
Too
couple of
much time
shots
together.
yeah.
Too much time together. I've said it before. We need time apart. We need distance. We need space, Bo.
We need social distancing for the podcast. So the truck takes off because they're like, holy shit, this drunk woman's going to kill us. And then Brenda and Sarah just wander through the woods for a little while, like that first Harry Potter last movie, the first part of the last one, where they just wander
First
around the
Harry
woods for the whole
Potter.
fucking movie.
The first Harry Potter last movie.
Yeah, the first part of the last Harry Potter movie. That's what I was trying to get at. You know what I'm
I like your version better.
Whatever. And whatever, some of them little wizard and shits were walking around in the woods.
Yeah, the opening of the final movie starts with them orienteering in the woods.
Yeah. Trying to like figure out how to make a compass out of a needle. So, by the way, watch Get Duped. So they're just wandering around in the woods, orienteering, as you said. Mm-hmm. And why they don't just follow the road and get a ride, yes. I don't know.
Stay on the road, you know what I mean? Or use a mobile phone.
Right.
Or like flag over a car that has a phone.
And if
everyone has phones, well.
If the main truck from Duel comes back, you shoot it again. You keep shooting at it till it goes away.
It turns out 2 shots, 3 shots is enough to scare the big crazy Duel van away. So let's just do that instead of wandering in the woods aimlessly in a direction that we don't know for a distance that we can't comprehend. For what purpose makes zero. It just is ill planned, both.
Right, and then out of nowhere, Sarah's like, "This is all my fault. On account of me attempted suicide that time." And Brenda's like, No. It's not about that. That was a real drama queen move. You didn't even take pills. You just wrote a note. No, it's my fault. Because I'm the one who dropped that Cinder block on Ada and made her a big potato. You like potatoes. And
so you wrote a suicide note. That don't impress me much.
Right. You know.
So you got the pen, but you haven't got the gun. Don't get me wrong.
Are you
got the whole song right now, though.
Are you pro suicide now?
The beer's just kicked in, Bo,
okay.
And I'm just saying that. Just saying that it doesn't. If you're going to write a suicide note but not take any actions, that don't impress Brenda much.
I always think
Brenda dropped a fucking cinder block in a moving car,
yeah,
and crushed a woman's head. So you think she's concerned with your penned note? No, I don't impress her. She's seen some shit.
I always think of there's a line from a Tragically Hip song when somebody talks about attempted suicide, and the line is, "Nobody's interested in something you didn't do."
Yeah.
It's a little cold.
Also, Brenda dropped that cinder block on that. Do you think, and she was young when she did that, do you think that's the worst she's done or the worst she's seen?
Also,
she's seen some shit.
Also, she lets drop in this scene, "Look, I was in love with Ronnie back in the day, and I was pregnant."
Yeah, it's just everything's coming out.
Right. And Sarah immediately is like, "That's fucked up. You're an attempted murderer. You gotta go to the police."
Yeah, they've got a prison for murderers. You can sit beside Tim, the man that murdered your daughter.
Don't have to let Heather go, but you'll get your own cell.
Heather's killed 2 people, but you killed someone decades ago. You're going in.
Also, we only got to 2 cells. So
Crazy Heather's back on the street again.
Right. Which is coming. Holy shit. They release Heather into the wild, and it is just mania.
Yeah, they just let her out there, and that is not a good move.
So Sarah then just marches off deeper into the woods without her grandmother now.
Mm-hmm.
And so we leave these 2 knuckleheads in the woods to go to Robin, who is talking with the lawyer who is handling the estate, I think.
Yeah, who is very helpful. He is actually slightly helpful.
But
at the same time, this is why I hate, I'm just going to say this, Bo. There is a special place in hell for lawyers and financial institutes that don't say no.
Yeah.
And this is the prime example of that, because turns out this dude had more debt than we realized. He remortgaged the house. couple of times over, made some dodgy deals, bounced some checks, had basically been living so far out of the realms of what he could afford. They are now, what was the number again?
$2.8 million in debt.
2.8. Now, the thing about this is they talk about, I think he talks about like remortgaging the house or something. He's like, yeah, he's already done that. And he goes, I told him not to do it, but it was still greenlit.
Yeah. I told him not to, but then he said, no, I insist on making this horrible financial decision. And I was like,
right. Which I can never pay back. And also, like, I'll never make money out of. Yeah, I get the property. Like, see, this is the thing. Like, banks will do this, right? And ultimately, the bank will end up with the property, right? So they repossess the property at the end of the day, but not for the sum of money they're out.
Yeah, well, this guy tells him, if you sell everything, you might come close to breaking even. Yes,
so like I'm sitting there thinking he has got like. Also, I'm thinking to myself, so he's 2 million in the hole, right? 2.2 million in the hole, but and asset wise, if he sells everything, he almost has £2 million worth. $2 million worth of assets.
That's right. That's right.
I'm like, at what point? Like, at what point does what's the guy's name again? Ronnie? No, Ronnie.
Which one? Robin?
Yeah. At what point does Robin, in the extravagant life that he's living in, not look around and say, you know what? Feels like we've got $2 million worth of assets, and my husband doesn't appear to be doing. I'm not selling that many houses because this is a small town. You know what I mean? I'm not making that many moves and shakes in the old real estate thing. And he does the finances for me. At what point do I think the money that's coming in equates to $2 million worth of assets? Arsehole is what I call this guy. Fucking arsehole. The lawyer's an arsehole. The fucking bank's an arsehole. Shower of arseholes.
So, and Robin actually asked, like,
was fucking raged me off.
Sun's getting low, big guy. So Robin's like, was any of this shit illegal? And the lawyer's like, no, it was cool. I mean, it wasn't right, but it wasn't illegal.
Right, but it's which once again, love that we have to make that distinction. Like it's not right.
Yeah,
morally it's not right, but it's perfectly fucking legal.
And so we leave that disaster to Sarah back in the woods, tromping around all alone. And now she's gotten scared or something. Is like, Grandma. And
she's realized that she wants the killer beside her.
How about the person with the gun? That'd be cool. And Brenda, meanwhile, is in like a versus section of the forest where she is just spinning around a bunch, waving the gun around.
Yep, she's like Leatherface in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, spinning this gun round.
And somebody just not somebody, what I like to call the sexecutioner, grabs her from behind, coming out of somewhere, and drags her off into the woods. And Sarah hears, does she like pop off in a shot or just screams or something?
I think she pops off a shot.
And so Sarah hears that. She's, Fated Bagora. And she runs to where she thinks she heard the shot. Sure enough, finds the gun in the middle of the woods, which is crazy. But finds the exact spot, finds the gun. And she's like,
exactly where it is.
He got my grandma.
Possibly.
Yeah. And so Brenda wakes up in a boat dock with a chain on her ankle that's tied to a couple of cinder blocks.
Oh, this is so fucking dumb.
And the dark condom is there as well, just kind of staring at her. And Brenda is like, look, I know I did some fucked up shit, but how about let he without sin cast the first stone, huh? How
about like his fire eateth up and burneth the wood?
And Dark Condom just grabs the cinder blocks and tosses them into
how heavy is a cinder block? Let's talk physics here. How heavy is a cinder block? Taking into account that as a teenage girl, she managed to lift one up above her head easily. to
Right.
launch off. 2 cinder blocks does not weigh the same as her, right? So, like, just like, once again, I'm all down for killing her in this fashion, right? But let's make it fucking plausible. 2 cinder blocks does not make the same weight as Brenda as a woman. And if you push them off, even attached to her leg, it will not move you unless it weighs more than you. That's how physics works. At the worst, it's going to give her leg a bit of a pull. She might dislocate it from the joint, but it's not going to drag her in the fashion that it does over the docks. Plus, this is the docks. The water is never that deep at the fucking docks where the pier comes out, inches from the shoreline. But, I mean, this fucking stuff drives me up. But, like, I love that, like, the thing, it's so dumb. It's like the setup is, like, right, cool, right, well, let's do it like the way you want to do it, which is a smart way of doing it, like, you know, like the vengeance meets the act. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I love that, right? But let's tie a giant fucking boulder or an anchor or something, not 2 piddly little cinder blocks that, like I say, like they're easy enough that he manages to push them over with ease, but yet the weight on them's enough to drag Brenda over. Fucking doesn't make a lick of sense. It is stupid. It is so fucking dumb.
You need
so
more
dumb.
weight. Okay, so a fact check from chat. Google says a standard cinder block is 35 pounds, which would presume that 2 are 70. And to your point, you need either more weight or velocity to create.
Like a great deal of velocity or much more weight for this to drag her, like, because she's further up. This is not like she's right on the edge of the pier either. This drags. Oh no! This, like,
clawing
so
the deck.
So fucking dumb, man.
I'll never
so
smoke
dumb.
again.
It just doesn't make. It's just lazy. I understand that,
right.
you know what I mean? Like, that you die at the hands of the thing that caused the damage. I like that. I think that's, you know, that feels like, from a narrative point of view, that feels on some level, you know, satisfying. I imagine that narrative itch being scratched off, you know, it's all come full circle. At the same time, though, it has to make sense. Otherwise, like, every death in this show thus far has made zero fucking sense, between the rat poisoning, which, like, had the effect that it had, the woman who has her hands and legs chopped off, with very little bloodshed, like, but still being alive to flare it.
Yeah.
Fucking. And now this one, I'm just like just be a bit smarter about it. Just it doesn't take that much. Like, just have an anchor is enough.
Right,
you know,
but
where
it
he's, like,
doesn't have the narrative symmetry of a cinder block.
It doesn't. So, like, why was it a cinder block to begin with? Or why isn't there, like, 5 cinder blocks or something?
Yeah.
Something that, like, a bigger cinder block, like a big something, anything other than this. It just feels dumb. And maybe I'm a bit more angry about it because it kills off my favorite character from the show. She dies an unhonorable death, Bo.
Right. She does a pauper's death. I also don't like, I don't like it for her because I like her character.
Yeah.
But I do kind of respect the fact that she is, like, this high in the water, like right there where the crown of her head is out of the water, so she, like, just drowns, and somehow that's worse.
Yeah.
So while that's happening, Sarah is wandering the woods with a gun, like Lord of the Rings, only with a gun. And she hears somebody walking close, and she's like, "Oh, oh," and just, like, whipping around, trying to find the source of the noises around her in the woods. And we see the executioner, like, just, like, tiptoe behind her. Yeah, right. And slips off. And then Sarah hears something and starts running the other way, stumbles onto this gravel road, and then just happens to wander into the boat dock where Brenda was murdered, and sees her floating in the water, and she's like, no, not me, Grandma.
Not me murdering grandma.
Yeah, not that criminal. So
Ah.
then, an ambulance shows up. They're loading Brenda up in the black bag.
No idea how any of this happened, which would have been useful because if she had a phone that she could have used earlier on, why didn't she use it?
Why- right.
Why were we so far in? Like, how did it? Like, don't bother with that though. The ambulance just arrives.
It's right. The normal inattention to detail in Slasher the series continues. And
Continuity, Bo. Continuity.
how did I get in touch with the ambulance? Well, I was upset.
Yeah.
What do you mean? They know. They just show up.
Have you never seen Minority Report? They have them in hospitals now, Bo.
Right. A precog saw me here at the boat dock with me mother or grandmother, whichever. And so Cam, of course, is there. Is just like, oh, Sarah, I'm so sorry about your grandmother, and maybe sometime you want to go out or something. And Sarah's like, oh, this executioner, he done fucked up. Now I'm gonna find him and kill him myself. And it's so dumb. Like, she has now sworn vengeance on this serial killer.
I mean, this serial killer potentially murdered, like, didn't potentially murder her parents, but is like playing, like, that would have been the point where I would have been like, I must seek vengeance. When I killed the neighbor after showing me that my mum had porno videos with her with loads of different men and wore the outfit of the killer that killed my parents. At that point, I'd be like, vengeance is mine. I will have my revenge. No. It's at this point that she's like, fuck it. I'm not running it. I'm not running anymore, Bo. Take me back.
Right.
With my dead grandmother.
I love my dead gay grandmother. And then we see Robin going to look for Trent out in the middle of the woods. and so, like, nobody answers the door at first, so he's about to take off, and then he sees, kind of set off the road a little bit, this shed. And so he goes to check out the shed, and there's flies buzzing around, and Trent is into what I would call, like, creative taxidermy, much like the Firefly family.
Yeah, he's making jackalopes, he's making piggeroos, he's making,
Underoos.
Some other thing. Yeah, he's yeah, like he's in there just like fucking licking the carcass clean and so on. Just like all the things that you would have to add to say killer.
Yeah. Let me ask you a quick question about Underoos, Duncan.
Yes.
Why in the fuck did they ever make Robin Underoos? Because they were always like comic book characters or Star Wars or shit like that. But Robin, like, are you just telling your kid that they're second best right off the bat? Like, look, we just don't have a lot of faith that you're Batman material, even as a child. So, like aim at the middle as superheroes go.
I mean, I would say that's a healthier way to be.
Yeah, well,
overall,
maybe.
I think it's a healthier lesson to tell people that not everyone will be, a massive success. Not everyone will be, the leader of a Fortune 500 company, or not everyone will be the fastest person in the world, the strongest person in the world. Sometimes it is okay to be in the middle.
Dream small, parenting advice from Duncan McLeish. So
that's right. I'm looking forward to propping up my children until they're at least 30.
So Trent shows up, blood literally dripping from his hands.
Yep.
And Robin's like, "Oh, Trent,"
holding a red herring in his hand.
Yeah. Right. Right. It is. Oh my god, this show. And he's like, "Sorry, I was out killing stuff because any animal that wanders onto my land, no matter what season it is mine. I'm killing it." And Robin's
by the way,
like,
have you ever read The Most Dangerous Game?
Right. And Robin's like, I'm leaving. And Trent follows him all the way to the car, just giving him shit the entire way. And it's like, yeah, next time you come to tell me that you're not going to give me my money, how about you make an appointment? That seems a friendlier way to fuck me over, Robin. And Robin, like,
give me the fucking money, Lebowski.
Yeah. Fucking Neelis. And Robin drives off in a terror, and Trent kind of looks menacingly off after him. And then we get one of the real pearls of the episode, where Chief Brimley and Cam are taking Heather, former inmate and still crazy person Heather.
She's wearing the Hannibal mask. She's in a straitjacket. She's on that pulley thing.
Cam, how are your nipples?
Sheriff, love the suit. You know what I mean?
So they just shove her out of the back seat of this patrol car, and they're like, "You're free to go," and don't press charges. And Heather is like, "You know, my husband's flaw was weakness, and the chief, yours is that you see only what you want to see." And Chief Brimley's like, "Hey, goddammit, how about we don't point fingers? Besides, I can't even hear you right now." And she's like, "That's my point." And then she looks at Cam and she goes, "I see you glowing." And Cam's like, "Do you see? Do you see me glowing?" And he's like, "Heather, just be sure to lock your door, and then we'll pet my tiger later." And the chief is like, "Look, don't worry about that crazy old broad. She is not our problem anymore, goddammit. It's time to go catch us a killer. Not that there's a serial killer, and it sure as hell ain't the executioner. I know that much." And so we leave those crack team of law enforcement agents to go to Sarah, who is just hanging out with Sonia and Ada in the room with.
Because let's bring this full circle. Like, bring this story to a shitty end.
Yeah, so she just shows up to fuck up their world by being like, "Oh, you know, I don't know if you knew this, but it turns out my grandma, she did all of this. She dropped that cement block on Ava and made her a potato." And Sonia is like, "Huh? What?" But I was like, didn't you know? It felt like she knew.
I thought that was the animosity.
Right.
I thought that was like, maybe she had a suspicion, but she could never prove it. But it turns out, no, well, she never knew.
Right. Or she's playing like she didn't know or something. But anyway, so Sarah is like, "Look, one other thing. It turns out that my grandma and your husband, Ronnie, were together when they were kids. You know, together with sex." And Brenda is basically just openly wondering, like, "Is your husband, Ronnie DeMare, is he my grandfather?"
Yeah. And it's like you've already done I know you come in here with the best of intentions. You came in here to clear a case in a mystery that's been existing for a while. But at the same time, like, we've already made this woman distraught. Do we now need to bring up her adulterous husband and the potential that I lost my grandmother, but maybe you're my step-grandmother?
Right. Yeah, this is just purely selfish. Like, "Look, I'm not going to be out no presents at Christmas. You're my new grandmother. And the minimum price is $50. Just so you know. I'll give you a list."
It's so fucking dumb. It's so dumb.
So
and needless. Absolutely needless.
Yeah. And Sonia is like, "Look, 100%, my husband is not your grandfather. Like, you don't have to ask that again. That is not the case." And Sarah's
I was wondering, it's because she doesn't have any kids, so.
Right. And Sarah's like, "Well, I don't care. I'm going to the chief. I'm going to tell him everything." And whether or not she does, we'll see, I guess, in the next episode.
Oh, I can't wait, Bo.
But Sarah is like, "Hey, I need to spend a little more time with that serial killer who's definitely not my pa."
Oh, yeah. That fucking.
Dude, when she walks in and he's like, "You out in the woods alone? How dare you, my daughter? I mean, Sarah."
Sarah.
Yeah, it's a total like, "What were you doing out there alone in the woods at night? You could have been hurt. I won't allow it."
Have you ever seen blood in the moonlight? Kind of looks black. I imagine a pilgrim. It's like
he wouldn't want
it looks black, like a giant black condom. I imagine a pilgrim wears one when he's out murdering. Sarah.
Sarah.
It's just It's just so fucking dumb. It's like, you know what this is? It's like a cross. All this family drama. Who's the parent of this person? Who's like the? It's like someone has taken like the lesser plot of Scream and married it with the TV show Dallas.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's all family drama bullshit and fucking like a stupid killer murdering people in implausible ways. It's why, Bo? Why? Make the bad man stop.
So we not only that, here's the other one of the other big problems I think with this show is that after she's like, "Listen, I need you to help me catch the killer." And then she repeats the story of Ada and Brenda and Sonia and all that stuff, which we saw at the beginning of the episode, talked about in just the last scene, and are now getting the recap again. This scene should have started with him saying, "And so that's what happened to Ada?"
Yes,
You know?
I don't need to hear it again. Like that's you bring us in after that reveal.
Right. And so anyway, she's like, I looked it up. The punishment for envy was drowning. And Tim Winston or whatever is like, yes, confession freezes, Sarah. You could have been killed. Also, he could have killed you. And Sarah is like, yeah, he could have killed me, but he never did. It's like he didn't want to kill me or something. And she's like, maybe I just don't deserve to die. Maybe I'm just better than all of you. And she says, because I'm safe, because he doesn't seem to want to kill me, that's how I'm going to help catch him. He doesn't want to kill me. So I'm kind of invulnerable.
So that means he won't kill her. Yeah, that's how killing works. Like if a killer doesn't want to kill you, Bo, even if you're close to exposing them, they won't kill you.
And so Tim Winston says, Sarah, I'll help you catch him. Whoever's doing this is blinded by pride, and pride will be their downfall. And as he is doing this voiceover about, like, he's a very naughty boy, our killer, all this stuff, we cut to Trent, and like you said, it is totally the end of episode 3.
It's the gas mask. It's I'm out walking, like, between the smack den and the house. It's such a, like, we pan to Trent sitting in his fucking murder shack, like, stitching up animals, and I'm like, no.
Yeah. Murder shack, baby, murder shack. I got me some animals. They're stuck on the wall.
There's like 15 of them. It's just, I mean, what surprises me the most about the show is how progressively dumber it's getting. You know what I mean?
Just when you think it's done the stupidest thing you're going to see on this show, they drain the pool a little more in the next episode.
It really is. It's like, it's actually shocking at how bad it's like because it's now like going out its way to specifically like just be like it's base level. Right, the TV show operates at a base, and that base is not a sturdy base, and it doesn't try and every time it tries to build anything slightly on it, it falls over because it's not secure. And that is literally what we're doing in every episode. I just don't. I think we're probably right about who the killer is, and I think the problem is that this series has 8 episodes. We're at episode 3, and this is going to drag out for another 4 episodes before a reveal. And we're just going to have to sit there going, no, not him, no. as we continually peel back other elements of the 7 deadly sins in this fucking small town that I couldn't give a fuck about, with characters I don't like because you killed and robbed me of the only character that was a joy. It's just I don't know.
I'm kind of hoping I'm kind of hoping they do like surprise new characters where like episode 5 we get just like, oh, here's some random deputy that has been in the show all along that we just never saw before.
Yeah. And
that
he,
kind of
like
stuff.
when he was a kid, he stole picking mix sweets. So you know what's going to happen to him.
He got a
You know, I
couple of
don't.
double doubles from the Tim Hortons. I caught him shoplifting there.
Sorry. I just
Right.
like.
You've been accused of stealing the double double from the Tim Hortons. How do you plead? I plead
I'm
sorry.
sorry.
Sorry or not sorry. Here in the great land of Canada, you plead sorry or not sorry, or sorry by reason of extenuating circumstances. Sorry, I'm not sorry by way of insanity. I was crazy for not being sorry about that.
It's just. I don't know. I'm curious. It's a stupid show, and we know that, and we knew what we were letting ourselves in for, and yeah, we're just gonna have to ride this train to the end now, I'm afraid.
Yeah, so that's gonna do it for this episode. We have found the conclusion of episode 3 of Slasher. Look, folks, thank you so much for hanging out. For those of you watching, it was great. Thanks for being here and chatting with us. For those listening, if you would like to be one of the people watching the show, we're gonna be off next week because I gotta work. But the week after that, we should be back. And check Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and all that stuff at Legion Podcasts to stay apprised of that schedule, and also, of course, Teapots everywhere for the same information. Duncan, between now and the next time that we goof on this poor sad show Slasher, where can people check out your stuff?
Yeah, please do. It's Podcast Under the Stairs, Tputscast, TPUTSCAST.com, which will get you not only Podcasts Under the Stairs, but all the additional stuff I do. You might want to be checking out Opera Omnia, which is available on the Teapots Collective, because Bo Ransdell is jumping on for the entire year season dedicated to looking at the movies of David Fincher, and that first episode will be out by the time this episode drops, so go and listen to it. It's a great conversation that we have, just putting the building blocks in place before we start talking about the works of a genuine auteur. So I'm very, very, very excited to hear what you guys make of that. So show that some love. In the meantime, in between then, I've got loads of things coming out from Podcast Under the Stairs, including a review and interview with the director of a witch movie that actually looks kind of amazing, called Sator, which has been getting all the fucking buzz. It looks dark and bleak and miserable. And it took the guy who made it 7 years to make, and he built everything from scratch.
Wow.
So
that sounds cool.
Like the trailer looks incredible. So that'll be dropping next week. Interview with the director, review of the movie, and various other bits and bobs. I'm having a lot of fun podcasting this year because I'm just getting to do a lot of stuff that I've been putting off for a while, including doing Slasher with Bo, which is obviously a thing in itself that even though the show's bad, the fun of being here on the camera, and that's kind of great. So yeah, if you can check out that, tputscast.com is where you will find everything. Bo Ransdell, what about yourself? What you got coming up?
Let's see. If you are watching this live, next week will be the release of the finale, season finale of Pick Six Movies. We've been doing Lifetime movies, and we're capping the season with a look at the Lifetime film Murder in New Hampshire, the Pamela Smart story, starring Oscar winner Helen Hunt. It also stars Dr. Johnny Fever from WKRP in Cincinnati, and Dr. Giggles himself, Larry Drake.
Oh dear,
it's
some weird casting.
It is like, again, the story at heart is, of course, a horrible tragedy. The movie is a tragedy for entirely different reasons, and it is kind of hilarious. So we had a really good time talking about that. And also just check out everything going on at legionpodcasts.com, where you can find a lot of other shows besides the stuff I do. I would also ask you to follow us at YouTube and Twitter and Twitch and Instagram and all that stuff at Legion Podcasts. On the Twitch in particular, I didn't really answer this question from Robert about the video games because I started talking to you about your picks. So I will say now, as a way of synergy, brand synergy, Duncan, one game I would highly recommend, and I'm just about finished with, is Yakuza Like a Dragon, which has been a delight to play.
Oh, awesome.
And you can see most of that game on Twitch from the streams I've done, and we're kind of in the back end of it. So you can check that out there. And just, a ton of shit. Like I said, other shows, we're doing more video stuff. Next month in February, we'll do another list of legends. And you can go to like the YouTube or the Twitch channel and see that.
After watching that previous one you did on vampire movies, I need to get involved in one of them.
You are welcome any old time. It's fun though, right? Like making a list in real time is something that really scratches an itch I have. So thank you. It was fun. I want to do a lot more of that stuff. Here's the thing I'm trying to think of is a good game show, because I think we could do it, and I need the right premise and that kind of thing for it to be good. But if any of the viewers or listeners have a suggestion of like, hey, what would be a good like a horror trivia game show, let me know, and we might make that happen, because that seems like something I want to do. At any rate, there is nothing left for us to say after all that nonsense, but to say, Duncan, God damn it, say goodnight, Duncan.
Duncan, God damn it, say goodnight, Duncan.
No, that's totally wrong.